It's actually really hard and exhausting.
Okay, I have a theory on why all the hottest girls are single.
I already know this is going to be a controversial take for some of the men, but
This is the type of man I'll never date.
Welcome to The Wall. Many women are talking about why they no longer date men and keep repeating the story of a supposed epidemic of male loneliness. But the reality is different. What we're actually seeing is a massive increase in leftover women. Women who aren't managing to get dates, let alone a ring.
It's actually really hard and exhausting dating men currently. So many of them say out loud they don't even really like women. They don't find us funny. They don't find our interests interesting. They find us boring. They cheat, they ghost, they emotionally manipulate and gaslight. They also don't even really put in any effort. Like, do you even really like hanging out with us? And at the same time, they aren't contributing equally to domestic labour and claiming they're babysitting their own children. And that isn't even mentioning the disproportionate emotional, financial, verbal, and physical abuse that we endure from men. Like, it's really, really hard. Well, not all men. There are good guys out there. So I don't know, maybe start dating actually good guys. Stop choosing assholes. Raise your standards. I don't know, pick better. I mean, you can lie about who you are, but I think as a whole, maybe you're right. Like, we shouldn't tolerate this anymore. We should have high standards, stricter boundaries, and we should just get out as soon as we see any signs of any of this behavior.
Okay, I have a theory on why all the hottest girls are single and nobody's married yet. I figured it out. It's because before, hot women were a rare commodity. Now everyone is just way too hot. It's easy for girls to get hot, right? And now it's like when you see a desirable, high value man, they have way too many options. And girls don't have options anymore. And it's so frustrating because it's like people would kind of date in their lane, if you know what I mean. Before there was like fillers and Botox and hair and cute outfits and spray tans and all that stuff. People would date in their lane. Now everyone's hot and no men can't do any type of like plastic surgery or height surgery or whatever. And with women working and men working equal pay, that's also a rare thing. So, ladies, we need to figure out a way to make men suck again. Sorry, they do suck. That's my point. They do suck. We just need to even out the ratio here. We're too hot. Men need to catch up to us. You know what I mean?
There is no epidemic of male loneliness. What we're seeing is an epidemic of leftover women. Women who, despite thinking they're special, are not being chosen for serious relationships. The second woman, without realizing it, spoke a key truth. Today, beauty is common. Filters, surgeries, and treatments have made it accessible to everyone. And when something becomes common, it stops being a differentiator. That's why many men are choosing something else: simplicity, kindness, peace. The feminine woman, without excessive makeup, who brings well-being and makes you feel valued. Men, in addition, have room to grow. We can improve, build, and develop ourselves. And that's why we're rejecting women who are combative, feminist, and unkind, because they don't add value. It's precisely those women who are now complaining about being alone, the ones who end up at the wall, because the wall doesn't forgive.
I already know this is going to be a controversial take for some of the men, but the same men that are screaming, all women are superficial, all women want a guy who's 6 foot, all women only want a guy who makes 6 figures, and you have to have this, this, and this, or otherwise a woman won't even look at you, are the same guys that are screaming, not all men, when women say like, oh, all men are bad, all men are blah, blah, blah. And I already know that it's the same demographic, and yet they can't see how they don't want to be lumped in as all men are bad, but they also want to lump in all women are superficial, all women are shallow, all women are only looking for these things. And I just think it's ironic that they can't see how they're doing exactly the same thing that they are defensive and mad when women do to them.
This is the type of man I'll never date. Fat man. If you're fat, that means your emotions are not regulated. You don't have self-control, you don't respect yourself, you live by low standard. If you're struggling financially, you be with yourself your whole life. and you're not even able to do good for you to take care of yourself, I'm not expecting you to try to do good to take care of us. If you have a cheap and broke mindset, you need to have a generous heart. The best part of heaven is giving, is sharing. If you don't shower and floss your teeth every day, we are not much. If you think deodorant, it's optional. I'm not gonna be walk around if somebody's thinking. If you talk more than I do and take you longer than I do to get ready, if you don't read books, one of my needs is grow. I need to feel like I'm in progress. If you complain about money, about pricing, oh, this is so expensive. Things are not expensive. You need to find a way to make more money. If you think first class and nice hotel is a waste of money, when I'm traveling, I want the whole experience the way I deserve. If you talk bad about any of your ex,
cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Then they say they don't want to be called superficial, yet they're all chasing the apocalypse's 666. A man who's 6 feet tall, makes 6 figures, and has a six-pack. The beast's 666. These women are completely out of line with their unrealistic standards. Did you hear her say, "I want the full experience I deserve"? But the real question is, what kind of experience does a man get with you beyond demands? These are the ones with an exaggerated checklist, yet they don't meet even half of it. And we're not even talking about hygiene. That's a basic human standard. The truth is, she wants a walking ATM. You can practically hear her stomach growling from here.
Women.
I just blocked a guy for not checking on me to make sure I got home safely after seeing them. A lot of people would think, oh, you need to have more patience or your program is too strict. I just feel that as a man, one of your duties is to be protective of someone. The day before that, they came and drove over an hour to come see me. So the next day, I followed them to their area and we hung out in their city for a whole day. It was a great day. No complaints there. The issue is that I went home at about 11 p.m., which is very late for me to drive home. If I'm spending this quality time with you, that person should care at least a little bit about your safety. That's a big red flag for me. That's a big no. Honestly, just makes my body not feel safe. And if anything, being feminine is listening to how you're feeling and listening to your nervous system and honoring it. So I have no problems blocking for that reason. They had more than enough time to check in on me, make sure I'm good. So blocked.
There are men who do not have access to women at all. And they have to go into spaces where women are basically forced to have to interact with them, and they make the most out of those interactions. You see this in so many spaces. You see this at the gym. You see this in stores. Women who work retail, especially young women who work in retail, having to deal with annoying men during transactions, men who won't leave them alone. I've worked in customer service. I noticed, like, for an annoying ass man to come up and milk the shit out of the entire transaction because this is his opportunity to steal some feminine energy, steal some essence, and harass a woman. They will linger, make it the longest transaction for no reason. This is why you literally have to just make it so clear to them that you're not interested and stand on that. If you give them an inch, they will take a mile. If you give them any type of pleasantry, they will milk the shit out of that. You have to be mean to them. You genuinely do. In a safe way, in a way that still protects you because you do not know who you are dealing with. They will find so many different opportunities to engage with women. If you're in a public space, if you're online somewhere, wherever you are, this is their opportunity. They don't have any other opportunity. They go to the spaces where they know women are going to be, or they go to spaces where they know women have no choice but to talk to them, i.e. customer service. I've seen this when I worked at a massage clinic. Men would call in. I worked at a call center once. Men would call in. They're going to try to get access to women by any means necessary.
I think the paranoia a lot of women have today has reached a point where it's honestly scary. I know there are desperate men out there, but but I don't think it's to this extreme. Imagine having a good date with a girl who even came to visit you. You plan everything to have a good time, and then she blocks you just because you didn't text her. When in reality, there was no commitment. You're barely getting to know each other. That guy might have intended to text her, but didn't want to come off as too intense or possessive. We already know how women are nowadays. Any guy who shows too much interest ends up exposed in some video. Honestly, I think that guy just dodged a bullet. Women want the bears, and we want you to subscribe and help us hit 1,000 likes on this video. Don't forget to leave your opinion in the comments. It's important to us. Alright then, let's get back to the video.
Good morning. This is your reminder that never did men look at the fact that women weren't in college or in the workforce and say, oh my gosh, this is a problem of huge proportions that everyone needs to hear about. We have to fix this because women are behind. All the doctors and lawyers and lawmakers are men and this is an issue. No, in fact, they looked at that and said, it's perfect. Wouldn't change a thing. And now that men are having issues academically and are falling behind women, everyone needs to care about it. It's a problem that everyone needs to address and figure out a solution for. To what? To put men back on top? To make sure men are outperforming women? But you see, the difference is that women were systemically prevented from participating. There's nothing stopping men from participating. There's nothing stopping them from getting good grades, from studying hard, from getting that job if they're the best candidate. Yeah, so sounds like personal problems.
Brothers, is anyone here selling cat food? Because you're about to get rich. The number of women I hear saying that having a college degree makes them superior to men is ridiculous. Like carrying tens of thousands of dollars in debt is some kind of badge of honor. A lot of men today are choosing trades or starting their own businesses, which bring in more money than many college degrees. But these women think they're more cultured or smarter just because they have a diploma, sometimes in things like gender studies, that cost them $300,000. Meanwhile, a plumber can make that kind of money in a year. I'd be the fool if I let myself get tricked into chasing a piece of paper that cost over $100,000, only for it to end up collecting dust in a drawer, because it didn't even land me a job that puts food on the table.
There is no such thing as a male loneliness epidemic. It's fake, it's bullshit, it's 100% made up. Whenever there is something created in regards to men, men's feelings, men's needs, men's wants, semantics are very important. Men use semantics, and within those words, there are context clues. You have to read in between the lines of what they're really trying to evoke. The true epidemic, what's really happening, we are in a males are unlikable epidemic. Loneliness is just the byproduct of them being extremely unlikable. Men want you to love them and accept them and tolerate them when they are cheating on you, when they are abusing you, when they are being unkind to you, and they are doing nothing for you. For centuries, women have had to oversee a lot of things that they don't like about men in order for them to have survival. Women have had to overlook a large amount of mistreatment by men because they couldn't open a bank account, they couldn't get a house, they couldn't get a credit card, they could not open a business. So therefore, women have been stuck dealing with men that they do not like because their survival has been based on it. Our survival is no longer based on our proximity to men, which means that now they have to be likable. They don't want to be likable, hence why they are lonely. And to be honest, they can stay lonely. They don't want to do the inner work to face their traumas, fight their demons like they always say. They don't want to talk to a therapist. They don't want to open up emotionally. They don't want to unpack their patriarchal conditioning that they are just holding onto with a firm grip without even realizing that it is hurting them. Women are realizing that they gain no benefit by being with a gender that does nothing but harm them, make their life worse, make them sacrifice things. And so women have opted out. The marriage rates are declining. The birth rates are declining. These dating apps are losing money because women are no longer interested. Women like people. Women are naturally communal. When you have a group that everyone is scurrying away from that group, the group is the problem. Because women don't even have a hard time being lonely at all. Women don't even really get lonely because women thrive in their own space. Women thrive in their own company. The men are lonely because they're unlikable. Point blank, period.
Gentlemen, here we have a feminist frustrated with the past. This is the never-ending story. If we keep living through injustices you never actually experienced, we're never going to move forward. These are the people who always have an excuse based on something that happened decades ago. You didn't live through that. You didn't go through those experiences. That was over 60 years ago, not in your lifetime. We're already in the future, and instead of achieving something of their own, they live off past victories. Their movement doesn't even make sense anymore.
Growing up, my dad would tell me that all men are predators. He did not speak really highly of men. And the reason why is because he needed to drill it into my mind so that I could have a sense of self-preservation. So now in my adulthood, a lot of people do not accept that. And obviously, men aren't going to admit that. But men are predators, okay? Their nature is. It's like human nature, right? Typically animalistic at its core, because humans are still animals. But when you do not ascend past that, you stay at that lower nature. Most people don't ascend. Men are predators. And we can look at this when it comes to the topic of consent. In my last video, I spoke about how men will go into spaces where there are guaranteed going to be women, and they will basically just harass them. They'll spark up conversation. And if you read the comments, it's hundreds of women telling their story. And every now and then is a random man commenting. And I've had to monitor some of these, so you may not see some of them. But there's a random man saying, oh, so women only want male attention if they desire them. And the fact that that's a hard concept for a lot of men to accept is very telling, because it's not about consent. It's not about if you want them. It's not about if you desire them as well. It's about what they want and what they want to take. Okay. And if you're going to be a willing participant. It's not about your desires. It's not about if you consent. And we see this very often, how the lines of consent get blurred when we hear stories of women coming forth about being assaulted, about being, assault. I can't say the word, actually assaulted. We see this. The consent was not there. There are lots of women actually who will admit that they've engaged in acts that they probably didn't want to. And they did it because that's what the man had pressured them into doing. There are a lot of women who admit to engaging in that when they don't want to, because it's not about consent. If it's not 100% yes, if there's room for a no, it's a no. Okay. and they don't read for consent. That's predatory, okay? So don't be fooled by, you know, there's a lot of beauty to being a woman. There's a lot of beauty to existing in your feminine essence, but you also have to aggressively protect it and drill certain things into your mind so that you can live in the safest way you can and protect your family, protect your children, protect whoever it's possible that you can, and teach them. Because unfortunately, the world is not rainbows and sunshine. There are predators that exist in this world. Men are predators.
What kind of predator was your dad? Because if he was that scared and said all men were like that, it's probably because he was one himself. Remember, people judge based on their own condition. That story worked on you, because look how you turned out, talking nonsense on the internet, and, even worse, single at over 30. If instead of filling you with fear he had taught you how to choose a good man and build a family, you'd be talking about something else today. Brothers, the number of leftover women keeps growing. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. If a woman demands extreme standards, the 666, total protection, constant spending, what responsibility does she have to offer something of equal value in return? If so many women claim they're better off alone, why do they dedicate so much content to talking about men, relationships, and resentment? Moral of this video: a wise man doesn't argue with someone who sees him as the enemy. He simply moves on. Stay tuned for the next video from the wall.